And a warm Wednesday. Welcome, everybody. We are in the high desert of Idaho today. It's a small airport Wednesday, back by popular demand, and it doesn't get any smaller than what you see in front of you. We are at Big Southern Butte. Let me see if I can get a little bit better camera angle here. Maybe I will not be able to. There we go. Big Southern Butte, Idaho. And the plan today is to fly some backcountry airstrips that are provided by Emerald Scenery Design. And again, they are freeware for P3D. I am not positive if there's an X-Plane version or not, but free for the P3D folks, FSX folks. And so we are going to check it out. Each one of these airstrips are 20 miles apart or so. We're going to just make a little loop-de-loop here with one circuit, one trip around the horn. Basically, we are here at Big Southern Butte. We're going to be heading down to Cox as well, then over to Bear Trap, take a right to Laidlaw Corrals, up to Hollow Top, and then back to Big Southern Butte. And again, all of these available on the Emerald Scenery Designs website, and I'll share that link with you and a little bit of information as well when we get to flying. Hope all is well in your world. Enough chit chat. Let's get this bird in the air. We're in the A2A Cessna Skylane 182 Skylane, and I'm saving you the startup procedure because let's face it, who doesn't know how to start up a Skylane at this point in time? Weather today is very, very nice here in the Idaho high country. Can I even say that? The Idaho high country. And as you are going to see, it's high desert, and it is right now elevation of just over 5,000 feet. And once again, the dog's saying, "Hey, what's up?" We're going to set this course indicator to kind of line up with where we're at. Each one of these airfields is roughly oriented the same way, not exactly, but for the most part they're east-west kind of orient, or I should say northeast to southwest kind of orientations. And again, being that they're so close to one another, they're going to be fairly similar. But just kind of taking a look again at our map, we're going to head out of here roughly 194 heading down to Cox as well, and that'll be our start. Alright, flaps are first notch, powering up, and away we go. Winds are just negligible today, like between 2 and 5 knots, so really we kind of have the luxury of taking off whichever direction we need to. They are bouncy, as you can see. A little bit of grass on the strip, some of them. Some are more gravelly than others. And with a little bit of a bound, we are airborne. Zip around to a 194 heading. I should have set my heading bug to help me out here, but that's okay. Don't want to get too carried away in the climb. We're going to be flying right around 6,500. That has us clear of most of the terrain. Well, has us well clear of most of the terrain, and so that's a pretty good mark for us. and we will try to climb out as we go. See if we can see the airfield over here. Yep, there we go. It's the only one of the 5 airfields that has any kind of building structure or anything like that, so it's pretty easy to find. All of these airfields, by the way, are ones you can spawn at. They're findable on P3D, and all the AICO codes are also on SkyVector. So just in case you're wondering about that, I know sometimes the knock on these small backcountry airstrips is they're tough to find, and so, or you have to slew your way to them or use the GPS option or whatever in order to get to those. So alright, let's set it again. 193-ish, and climbing out plenty steep. 500 will do. We are going to bring the RPMs back a little bit. No need to red line up here. You're not going to be able to be in a big hurry anyway on your climb, just because of the altitude. And yeah, but we're off. And again, happy Wednesday. It's been a good day around here. Got a little bit of work done, even though I'm on summer break. Sometimes duty calls, and we were able to get a little bit of work done, some teamwork stuff that we needed to do. If I climb through, oh, I forgot to arm that. Alright, well, we're above 6,500. We might sneak our way back down here. We don't need to get too crazy with our altitude. Puts us about 1,500 feet above all these airports. Despite the fact that we're in the mountains, it's this, as you can see, is a pretty flat territory, and tucked in between some different mountain ranges. And again, the Big Southern Butte. This is going to be a major landmark for us as we come back around. There you can see the airport in the distance, and yeah, it should be lots of fun here, and hope you enjoy. But I wasn't gonna stream tonight, just kind of hanging out with the family and chilling a little bit, but decided that everybody, again, this time of night at my house, everybody's in bed, everybody's crashed out, except the old man who can't sleep. And so yeah, why not? Let's hop online. Let's fly around a little bit. Let's get a little bit more stuff installed, and I think we're just going to do that. I think we're going to devote Wednesdays to just installing these small airports and flying around and testing them out and giving you guys a peek at what they look like, in case you need to add to your own scenery collection. Because again, it's amazing how much free content is out there, and I know that's tends to be a little bit of the knock on P3D, but I have not found that to be the case. I have found, over the years, I've found dozens of high quality freeware airfields, airports, airstrips just like this, and I'm reinstalling the very best ones on my new machine, and I intend to share all of those with you guys as well. I'm going to put a link in the chat menu, or excuse me, the chat, that will take you to this Idaho airstrip pack, and if you want to check it out, you can go there and have a look. It does require, there's like a library of buildings and vegetation and some SOD objects and things like that you have to install first, but that's all pretty easy to do, and yeah, the installation is not very difficult. So what we're looking for here, as we Make our way to Cox as well. It's not much. There's no buildings. It's just a strip, and true to these backcountry airports, it's just I don't know the history of it, but it's just out there for could very well just be for farm and ranch use or oil field use or whatever. But for our kind of navigating purposes, we're just looking for like a little bit of a lighter area, and depending on your scenery and how far out you have it rendering, it might pop up on you quite unexpectedly. For us, oh, there we go. See, that's the airstrip, and it runs a little bit more kind of east-west actually. So let's just take a quick peek at our weather. 212 again at 2 knots, so we can kind of come in however we want. I think we're going to just make a little bit of a right traffic pattern. We're just going to enter in on a right base and see how we do here. So we'll take the autopilot off, go ahead and meander our way onto that base turn, start to descend a little bit. We don't have to get crazy. We're only 1,500 feet above, even though we're at 6,500. Only 1,500 feet above the airfield essentially. Already into flaps speed. Oh, I had forgotten to take my first notch of flaps out, so we'll just leave that in there. That's got us at a pretty good airspeed right now. Kind of keep an eyeball on that runway over there. I will caution you, my stall technique is not great. This really isn't a stall equipped aircraft anyway, but pretty good, pretty versatile, does a nice job on the backcountry stuff. Get you in and out of some short airstrips pretty well. And we don't have to be quite so slow quite yet. I like to keep it around about 80 or so until we're on our short final. And yeah, but all these strips just kind of give you something different to do on a on a Wednesday evening. And what I'd really like to do at some point in time is have like a little bit of maybe a landing competition or something like that. Get some other guys that want to be a part of a flight like this and see what it looks like. Maybe a bunch of different types of aircraft. I'm sure the Piper Cub would be a natural fit in here. The Cessna 170. I mean, there's all kinds, honestly. These are not super short strips. I mean, you're not bringing a King Air in here or anything like that, but probably any kind of single engine aircraft is probably going to be okay. Alright, turned a little bit early. About 1,000 feet above. In pretty good shape, I think. Airspeed's getting a little bit quick. We'll get on final. We'll add some flaps here, get that speed down, and we will see what happens. This is a squirrely airplane, as anyone who's flown an 808 knows. Very super sensitive and tricky to land without bouncing. So let's add a bumpy runway here to see if it helps out, right? Yeah, that's okay. Alright, we're on final, short final here, trying to get our speed down. Second notch of flaps is in. Don't need to be in too big of a hurry to drop altitude. We're in pretty good shape here. We have plenty of runway. It looks like a short runway, but we have plenty, again, for this airplane. Okay, throwing that final notch of flaps. Oops. Don't let that nose dip too much. A little bit of juice there to help. And we're down. Yeah, a little bit of a bouncer. Oh, still bouncing. Whoa, 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 whoa. I don't know how much of that was me on the landing and how much of that was the bumpy runway, but not too bad. I'll take that. That is not terrible. So yeah, welcome to, let's see if we can get her shut down here. Cox as well. I think the only, try to pull up here as close as I can. I think the only basic identification is this little sign right here, which we might not, oh, it's right there. Yeah, we're not going to probably be able to see it. See if I can jump out back. Yeah, right there, Cox's airstrip. Glad you could join us here. Okay, so that's leg one of 5. Now it's time to start thinking about heading to the Laidlaw Corrals. So this is more of a westerly track, about 261. Again, the wind only 2 knots, so even though it's kind of at our back, it's out of the, it's 212 at 2. So, but we should be okay taking off and jump into that 267-ish course. So let's crank that knob around here. I need to zoom in because I can't quite see very well. There's 255, 260, 12, and again, it's all estimated. Kind of depends on our turn, but we're going to be taking off, basically heading east and swinging around left traffic to head on our 17-mile leg to Laidlaw Corrals. All right, here we go. Bumpity bumps. Single notch of flap is in. I'm weaving all over the place for some reason. Have like a little ski jump on this runway coming up here, right on the end. All right, there we go. Up and away. Try to get a little bit of airspeed here. Still trying to climb out at 90 if you can get there. Get ourselves up a little bit here. Yeah, we've got good airspeed, making good power. There's roughly 400 feet. Flaps are up, and we'll start coming around here on leg 2. There's that Big Southern Butte again. It's going to be a nice, easy landmark for us to find as we make our way around. I think all of these airfields are in a grand total of like within 50 nautical miles of each other. We've got a 16-mile leg. This one's a. Wait a second. Oh, hold on here. I'm gonna level out because actually we are at Cox as well. We need to go to Bear Trap, and Bear Trap is. All right, I'm gonna keep it coming around. I almost skipped a leg there. Bear Trap is actually 184. So let's keep coming past our westerly heading. Sorry about that. And let's make sure we get on that 184. There we go. Cox's airstrip. See you later. Have a great day. Nice to visit. Alright, that's pretty close. We will go ahead and set the heading so we can look around a little bit, and I'll show you what I did accidentally there. Only about 300 away from our target altitude. Are we far enough away? Oh, there we go. There's the airstrip. Right over the top, with the Big Southern Butte behind. Alright, so let's get the power brought back here, get everything kind of to cruise, and look at the map again. Yeah, we're here. We actually need to fly this lake first, and then we're heading to the Laidlaw Corrals. We got to get down to Bear Trap first. So one of the neat things about these fields is these landing strips are the different names that they're given, and some of them are kind of humorous, like "you can't do this" and "don't land here" and stuff like that. These ones are, yeah, pretty mellow in comparison. Of course, a lot of them are just named for landmarks and people that own the land, that type of stuff as well. This is another short leg. It's just 16 nautical miles, and again, we're just kind of looking for a little bit of a lighter area. The scenery blends in very well, actually, which is one of the things I like about it. But that could potentially be it right there. Just a little tiny light strip, I would guess. I think we're, for the most part, on course here. Cox's Well, Bear Trap, Laidlaw Corrals, all three of those don't really have a big time distinguishing feature, other than, like with Cox's Well and Bear Trap, you're flying directly away from the Big Southern Butte. Yeah, I'm thinking that is probably what we are looking for. So just another quick peek at the weather. The wind's now 164 at 4, so still pretty mellow. Looks like this particular airstrip again is a little bit more east-west. So I think if we again enter kind of a right traffic and make our way in on a right base, for the most part going to be into the wind on our descent. So once again, disengage the autopilot. We'll kind of just make a 45 to our base, Start to cut the power just a little bit. Nice gentle descent. No real elevation change issues, so I think we're still at about 5,000 feet. Need to be descending quite so steeply here. There we go. We're at about 1,000. We can keep it there and just kind of get our speed managed, get our trim managed here. Keeping an eye on the airstrip. Yeah, I think we're generally on the base leg here. Alright, we are at flaps speed. Throwing that first notch. Fight that nose. Wants to come up on us a little bit. Start to make our turn to final. And just like the last airport, I turned maybe just a hair too soon. I need my third monitor that sits right out here, or I need my VR whatever solution. Lots of things I think I need. I don't really need them. Difference between needs and wants, I guess, right? Alright. What I need is a good solid approach and a nice soft landing. The A2A 182 Skylane does record your landing data, and if you are a little too harsh, you can end up with some damage. It might even make your plane unflyable, so you have to be a little bit careful. This would be a bad place to have a breakdown. I mean, you're a long way from anywhere. Second notch of flaps coming in. Try to get that speed down to about 70. Nice easy 500 feet per minute descent. More of a traditional glide slope here. I mean, the STOL landings much steeper, much more abrupt, much more firm. We don't really have terrain things to worry about, and like I said before, we have plenty of runway, so we don't have to have that super, heavy-duty STOL landing. We're not trying to set any records out here. Alright, final notch of flaps coming in. See if we can get her down without too much of a bounce this time. Now, still bumping around a little bit there, darn it. But we are down, and welcome to Bear Trap. Yeah, we came up on the end of that runway a little faster than I thought. We'll take this auxiliary road here. Alright. Yeah, that was not good. I don't know if there's any identifying features out here, honestly, other than just this strip. Okay. get back on the runway, flaps back to 1, and again, now this is the time we actually are turning to the west. So 267, let's set our heading in that general neighborhood here. There's 240, 250, 260, 265, 67. So roughly there again, kind of a left-hand traffic, left-hand exit, and again another short leg, 17 miles is all, and another pretty wide open, you know, airstrip. Not a lot, no houses around it, no you know, no distinguishing features per se. Alright, there we go. We're up and off. Try to get that airspeed up a little bit. Get a little bit of altitude. We were a little below 5,000 there, weren't we? About 4,800, I think, 4,700. Okay, flaps are coming up, and let's make our turn. Just a beautiful day here in Idaho. There's our butte again, Big Southern Butte. We'll end up back over there when we're all said and done. We've got this stop here at Laidlaw Corrals, and then another one at Hollow Top, and then we're back to the Big Southern Butte, ready to wind down the day. We're actually getting a little bit, as you can see, the sun's getting a little bit low on the horizon, and so we you know, we don't want to dilly-dally. We should be just fine as far as daylight goes. Okay, roughly heading where we need to head. We'll set our autopilot and let's have a look around. You know, nothing fancy, right? I mean, just basic scenery, nothing crazy, but has a simple beauty of its own. Still climbing out, but we can bring the power back just a bit. Sceneries like this give me hope for kind of one of my bucket lists, and not bucket list, I don't want to make it sound like that, but one of my big wishes for flight sim is some more of the high mountain, you know, like Johnson's Creek type airstrips. And when I look at these ones, I mean, they are nothing fancy. They're well done. It's photoreal stuff, and all in the right spot. Again, you can access it on, you know, whatever navigation you're using, they're real places. But in terms of creating them, I mean, it's not the same as creating, Fly Tampa creating the Boston scenery, for example. So, man, I hope sometime in the near future that some developer takes it upon themselves to get up in the mountains here in Idaho and Utah and Wyoming and Montana, because there's a lot of really cool backcountry strips. I mean, very, very well known, famous. Johnson's Creek is just one of many, one I can think of off the top of my head. But it wouldn't take a heck of a lot. Those don't have a lot of houses, if any. They don't really have any structures. They're just pieces of land that are somewhat level and clear of trees, and I mean, they're there. Don't get me wrong. They're right there right now in the default mode, but they just don't. You know how it is flying into default airports, finding the default rectangle and the default runway that's for the most part flat, and it really shouldn't be flat because it's carved out of a hillside. And these ones, that's kind of what I like about these. You might be thinking, what is this truly one of your better sceneries? And the reason why I think it is because of the undulations of the terrain, and you have to kind of deal with that. There's a hill in the middle of these these airstrips, and you have to kind of account for that. I think that, by the way, is where we're heading. And again, it looks to me like we can almost go straight in. Our winds again are down to 2 knots, 145 at 2. So a little bit of a left tailwind, but what, it might, yep, I think that's our boy. Let's fly over there and have a look. One thing we're not doing that is pretty common practice from what I've researched with these backcountry strips is making a low pass just to make sure that there's no debris on it, or that there hasn't been rain that's washed out part of the runway, things like that. We're not doing that just for sake of time, basically, but in this case we might have to, because I'm not 100% sure of the orientation of the runway. I'm kind of thinking it was a little, kind of thinking it's another east-west deal, but yeah, the closer I get, the more I think that is the correct approach here. So we'll just make straight in. The wind's down to 1 knot right now, so basically calm anyway, and we should be able to just to come straight in here. Laidlaw Corrals. First notch of flaps is down. Getting ourselves lined up here. My flight yoke is kind of on its last legs. It's very kind of grabby and jerky and not smooth anymore, so I'm spending the day sort of applying different lubricants to it. Haven't had a lot of luck with anything right now. I probably have, even though it's no longer under warranty, I've voided the warranty, so I may have to open it up and see if there's something inside that I can replace, or I don't know. But it's just, and especially with an airplane like this, boy, if you don't have a smooth controlling yoke, a small movement can be a big difference in terms of especially pitch. You'll see me pop that nose up kind of every now and again, and that's, I swear, it's just I'm moving that flight yoke about a 32nd of an inch, and it just is making a huge difference. But it's not a smooth movement, it's a little bit jerkier, so that's kind of why that happens. Alright, we're lined up. Speed's looking pretty good. Throw in that last notch of flaps. I think this is like a little bit of an uphill runway at the end. Look at how well this blends into the scenery, though. I mean, again, that's what makes this one kind of stand out. Okay, down we go. A little bit of a burst flare. Oh, geez. Too much speed. Yeah, it was a little too fast there. That caused that bounce. I was at about 70. I needed to be more like about 60. But that's that stall technique where you try to arrest your descent just a little bit by giving it some throttle. It basically increases your horizontal movement, and for the guys that know what they're doing, it really makes for a nice soft landing. Okay, well, there is leg 4, right? 1, 2, well, leg 3. Now we're up to hollow top, and we're going to be pretty much north. 004, which again is a left-hand turn for us. We'll throw it in there, you know, roughly right there. Flaps to 1. Everything else is looking good, I think. I haven't had my strobe on the whole time here. Wow. Alright, get those flaps up to where they need to be. And yeah, with this one, again, I don't think there's any signs or any distinguishing marks per se. I mean, there's those rocks that are out there. Does that say anything? Yeah, just a rock, probably marking about the midfield point. Alright, let's get rolling here. On our way to hollow top. Down the slope, help us get a little bit of airspeed here. Bumpity bumps. And we are flying. Gather some airspeed. That was about a 4,400 foot elevation. So we definitely are getting a little bit lower in elevation as we get away from the Big Southern Butte. Okay, there's 400. Flaps are coming up, and we'll start our turn. Again, basically heading north. Hollow Top is our next airstrip. This one does have kind of a cool land feature. I think you'll enjoy it. You might see it before I point it out. See if we can hop outside and maybe give you a sneak peek before we get too close. It's another short leg here. 18 nautical miles is all. But yeah, let's hop outside. Let's take a look and enjoy the sights and sounds. Okay, well, we've moved our tank lever over, as you saw, to the left hand side, and I think we'll be fine. We have enough to make it back. Our last leg is the longest leg, and it's only 24 nautical miles. But yeah, never good to see that low fuel light. Didn't realize we were getting quite down that low. We've leaned it out a little bit, so reduce our fuel flow. Run lean a peak here and just make sure that we are as conservative as we can be. So here we go. Like I said, this has a little bit of a feature here that I kind of like, and I think as we get a little closer, excuse me, you'll be able to see why they call it hollow top. And the airstrip is just kind of out here to the east of it. Again, it's a roughly an east-west type of landing. Our wind really hasn't done much. Now it's out of the south a little bit, but only 2 knots. And so I think we will continue with our same plan of making a right traffic pattern and landing straight in, especially if we're a little low on fuel. We don't want to be flying a bunch of patterns and things like that. But all right, let's take a look here. Yep, there's there's hollow top, and it might be kind of hard to see, but there's the strip. So we're gonna make our turn, and we're gonna fly right past hollow top, just to give you a look. Who knows, old volcanic activity around here, I'm not sure. Hard telling. They do have a national preserve called Craters of the Moon. It's just a little bit west of this area, so I don't know if it's that kind of a bunch of formations kind of like that or not, but that's kind of what it reminds me of. Kind of cool, especially in this low light, big shadows, things like that. All right, I better pay attention. There's our strip. Little frog in my throat there. Propping mixture to full forward. Didn't get to flap speed before turning final on this one, but I think we'll be okay. Yeah, true to form, turned a little early. There's flap speed. We'll throw first notch in. Try to get our speed down to about 70. We're a little shorter final on this one. Gonna have to be paying attention here. Might be more skill than I have. Semi lined up, second notch of flaps. See if we can get that little flare deal executed a little better. Final notch, flaps coming in. Does lift the nose up, that's for sure. Yeah, that wasn't half bad. quite a bit of runway to work with there. That was a pretty good, actually a pretty good landing as far as the distance goes. So here you go. Welcome to Hollow Top. And one last leg and we will be back to Big Southern Butte. Looks like you have a little bit more runway if you wanted it, but we should be okay, I think. Oops. Yep, just about the right time too. I tell you what, we're just getting to sunset and definitely are heading into fields that are not lit. No runway lights. All right, 058. That's our approximate heading. Kind of heading back over our shoulder here. We'll make a right-hand exit. Actually, no, we'll make a left-hand exit. Take one last look at Hollow Top. And away we go. Field at about 4,300. There's 400, and we'll make our left-hand turn. Give Hollow Top one last look. Unless my bank angle is too severe. Oh, there we go. See you later, Hollow Top. There we head back towards that big monstrous Southern Butte, Big Southern Butte. Alright, heading engaged. Pull the power back. Enjoy the last leg here. Thanks so much for joining us. And if you didn't catch us live, stumbled upon us later on, much appreciated. Tell your friends. We do this most every night, a little bit later tonight than normal. Try to get down here around midnight Zulu, but family comes first, and sometimes those guys have some things going on that you got to take care of, and that's the way it ought to be. But after everybody's settled down, we do like to get down here and have some fun. Back to Big Southern Butte. Let's take just a minute. We'll head outside, have one last look around, and enjoy the sights and sounds. Yeah, don't ask me why I left my landing light on, but I did. Alright, I think our left and right are getting pretty close to being balanced out. I'll wait till I get... Nope, they're both staying low now, so let's pull them back to both, even though they are low. Yeah, we have plenty of fuel to make it back the last 20 miles or so. So again, Emerald Scenery Designs, the link is in the chat box. I'll also put a link to it when I am done editing and cleaning things up. We will more than likely be back on tomorrow night as well, Thursday night. We'll just kind of see what what the ATC coverage looks like. That's generally where we head, is wherever there's a VATSIM event or wherever there's ATC coverage. That's what we're looking at doing. But just realized the taxi light I have on, not the landing light. Let's turn the landing light. It'll just be a Christmas tree here. We'll get it all up. Our next kind of thing that we have on the calendar is Friday night. Friday Night Ops, of course, is down in Dallas Fort Worth. They call it the Summer Sizzle, and so we're going to be flying from Denver down to Dallas Fort Worth again right around midnight Zulu. Then on Saturday we have we're hoping to fly in the ZTL event, which is Atlanta airspace, and the tentative plans is to fly from Miami up to Atlanta. What we're going to do, we're either going to fly the 737 or the DC-8, and whatever we fly on Friday, we'll fly the other on Saturday. Now I do have an obligation that might keep me from flying on Saturday, but we'll see. If it gets in the way of Saturday night, what we might try to do is hop on there earlier in the day on Saturday. We'll just have to kind of wait and see, play it by ear. We're about halfway there. A little bit of a haze layer here. We should actually have a nice view of Big Southern Butte kind of over here, but it's just kind of obscured right now. And this is the approximate runway heading there into Big Southern Butte. Again, one last look at weather. 253 at 3, pretty negligible. No precip, no cloud cover to speak of. There we see Big Bear. What did I say? Big Bear. Now I'm thinking Great Outdoors. Big Southern Butte. Big Bear. Big Bear Chase. Now I want to go watch Great Outdoors. Man, I miss John Candy. Alright, there she is. And the airfield is just kind of right off of this side, the left-hand side of it. So we're actually going to enter in basically 45 into a right downwind. This will actually be probably the only proper traffic pattern that we enter into. That is, if I can get down to 6,000, because pattern altitude is 1,000 above. We'll give it our best shot. Hopefully we can end on a high note. Can't really say we've had terrible landings. I haven't had one really that I would say was great as well, but I think part of the deal with landing on these backcountry strips is you're just not going to have the perfect landing. You're not going to have that buttery smooth, you know, right down the middle type of landing. You've got bumps. You're landing on rocks. I mean, it's the way it's going to be. I think if you get it down and you protect your gear, I know they also think, because again, I'm not a pilot. I'm not a backcountry pilot to say, you know, I just in researching guys that do it, I know that there's other considerations too that they have to take into account. You know, they're trying to protect their blades, and they're trying to protect their flaps, and if they're a tail dragger, they're trying to protect that tail wheel. And you know, there's the soft field landings are different than landing on asphalt, and so there's all kinds of stuff, and that's the kind of stuff that intrigues me, that I continue to study and I continue to try to practice on my own to try to get a little bit better at it. So it just, you know, again, it's just, I don't know how to explain it other than to say it's just a satisfying feeling when you can land in a remote, well, when you can land anywhere and execute it the way it's supposed to be done. I think I see a house. Yep, I do. So that means our airstrip is here. Might even be this guy here. But yeah, we should start to see it. Hard to see in kind of the waning light, but it's out there somewhere. Yeah, definitely got that sunset vibe, don't we? That's pretty. Okay, well, let's see what happens here on this final approach. Again, thanks so much for tagging along, hanging out with us. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you had a good day wherever you are. Hopefully it involved a little bit of family, a little bit of flight sim. Just a nice balance of all that stuff. I know many of you, it's a Wednesday, so you were at work, and that's also an important part of what we're called to do. And we'll do it all in His name. He's got to be first in everything we do. Even goofy simulations like this are reasons to give thanks. Alright, there's 1,000. How about we level out here and let's see if we can execute your standard right-hand traffic pattern. Okay, there's downwind. Just about a beam with the runway. We'll bring our power back. We'll add our first notch of flaps. Prop lever mixture forward. Don't want to get too slow right here. Hard for me to look over my shoulder with this yoke hat. Well, it's not hard to look over my shoulder, it's just hard to maintain straight and level. A little bit of, I think it's an airfield over there. I don't have the information in front of me, but I do think that's a right proper airfield over there. Alright, I think we are where we need to be to make our base turn. Those lighting effects are pretty awesome, aren't they? Whoa, and I'm looking at the light and I went past my base. There's my airstrip. We'll make our turn to final, see how close we can get. We haven't even really been close on any of the 5 other approaches. We've been early and we're early again. Doggone it. Yeah, well. Okay. Second notch of flaps. Let's get that speed back manageable. Let's get in our descent. A little high on this one, aren't we? This may be a little bit of a steeper, more stole-like approach. Bring the power back. Don't need to get crazy here. We don't need to be super steep. Final notch of flaps. Maybe just a little early, but try to get that speed under control. See if we can time this little flare better than we've done before. Drifted a little bit. Oh boy, there's a big bubble. There's a bounce. Alright, well, we're down. I don't know if I like this grass effect. You can adjust that, by the way. It's this part of the scenery is customizable. I think that grass is just a little bit, looks just a little out of place. Alright, well, we're going to taxi home, back to the RV for a night to camp under the stars. Wherever you are, I hope you take a half an hour, take a hot drink outside, sit on the porch and look up, and in amazement of God's creation. That's what I'm going to do. Hope to see you tomorrow on TCAS. Have a great night. Take care. God bless.